Present to everyone before.
Okay, good morning. I'm totally happy to be with you again in the second session of our live webinar and Zero Agrowaste Competition. Today we are going to talk about the business model, and there is a kind of a slight change we are going to do in the plan that we are going to talk about communication because the tasks you are going to deliver for the marketing instead of instead of the MVP, I believe so. So let's start with the part of the business model. That's our canvas, and that's the main points that we are going to talk about today. Starting with the key part, as you see this chart, and that's will be your own task once we finish our own session today. So you have the key partners, key activities, key resources, value proposition, customer relationship channels, customer segment, cost structure, and revenue streams. Why do we choose specifically those points? Actually, once you cover every single part of those and answer the questions that relate to each sector, you are going to have a clear vision for your own business. So let's start with the first part, which is the key partnership. At the beginning, we're going to talk about the KPI, which represent that some activities are outsourced and some resources are acquired outside the enterprise. What are mainly the key partnerships? It's a kind of who you are going to deal with. So you can make a partnership with non-competitors for the delivery of the value proposition you need, or you're going to join some ventures, and sometimes we make a kind of a cooperation with competitors, which we call competition. So mainly for the key partnership, you have to answer the following questions. Who are our key partners? Who are our key suppliers? And which key resources are we acquiring from the partners? And which key activities do partners perform? So once you have a clear vision from the function and the role of the people you need to help you, you are going to chase or hunt the right partners. Okay. The second item about the key activities, it's depending on the type of the business model and the type of the product or the service you are going to deliver. Like if we're talking about software for Microsoft, what do you need? You need the software development. If we're working on, like my own project is about prosthesis. So what is my key activities? I need someone to help me in the R&D. I need to work on the research and development of the product itself. I need to know how to do the 3D printing. That's the main part related to the key activities. I need to understand how to make 3D scanning. That's part of my key activities. So it's a kind of what is the main functions you are doing, the main activities you perform to deliver the value proposition or to deliver the product you're working on. So what key activities do our value propositions require? Once you answer this, you're going to know what I'm going to produce, so how I'm going to solve this part and create a platform or a network to help me to do these activities. Going to the key resources. The key resources, they are the facilities. It could be intellectual, physical, financial, or human resources. Like if I'm working in Microsoft, I need programmers. If I'm working on my processes company, I need medical engineers and biotechnologists. I need 3D scanners. So the key resources is what do you depend on as intellectual or physical or financial or human resources to deliver the key activities so you can attain the value proposition at the end. So what's the value proposition that we are keep talking about in every sector? The value proposition is about what do you do? What are you going to give to the target segment? So what value do we deliver to the customer? Is it a product? Is it a service? And why specifically this part? And why specifically it should be a service? And it could be combined between a service and product. It depends on the product or the project you're working on. Which one of our customers' problems are we helping to solve? Which customer needs are we satisfying? So the more you make analysis to know the customer needs, and the more you understand the customer problems that you need to solve, the better value proposition you have. Sometimes people are thinking about a solution that's not really a need for the customers, and they even don't know how to market for it to make it a kind of thing that could be satisfying for the market. Okay. So that's mainly the value proposition. If someone needs me to talk in Arabic, please comment so I can switch from Arabic to English. From English to Arabic, I'm sorry. So, the next part regarding customer relationship. How you're going to sustain the relationship between you and the client you're dealing with, the customer you're dealing with. So you have to answer the following. What type of relationship does each of our customer segments expect us to establish and maintain with them? Through this question, you find out that you are going not to deal with only one segment. Maybe you are going to deal with too many segments, so you need to put a plan for how you're going to sustain the customer relationship for each customer segment you are targeting. The next question you have to answer, which ones have we established and which ones we should think about to establish? So we are going to strengthen the bond between us and our clients. And how costly are they? Once you answer this, you're going to think about the alternatives and you're going to think how I can get the best quality and sustain a good relationship between me and my customers, but I'm not going to pay a lot and I'm not going to lose money for such thing. So sometimes people put fancy stuff and fancy plans to put a great customer relationship plan, but actually it's not feasible. Could be feasible, but at the end, you're not going to say that you have a business model that could be really profitable. So you have to think about it and think about the alternatives once you know how costly are they to sustain such relationship. The last question, how are they integrated with the rest of our business model? Sometimes people go for stuff like, if you think about that, I'm going to sell pens and do some t-shirts, that's kind of a marketing. Sometimes people misunderstand the difference between marketing and how I want people to remember my own product and see it everywhere and every time, and how I'm going to satisfy my customer and keep him with me all along the production line all along my company is alive. So through customer relationship, what I'm going to deliver, it's a kind of a personal assistance, like the insurance you have for the mobiles and laptops and all of those stuff. You have insurance for like 1 year or 2 year insurance, and then you're going to pay from them because you know the quality of the parts you're going to use for your own product or the product that the customer already had. Self-service, automated service, it could be from co-creation or communities. So how I'm going to decide which path I'm going to take or how to mix and intermingle between them, it depends on the project you're working on. The next part is the channels. Okay, I have a value proposition. I want to know how I'm going to deliver this value proposition. So through channels, through which channels do our customer segments want to be reached? How are we reaching them now? Is it, the more you make a kind of a market analysis and study well your customer segments, you're going to know how to reach them and how you are going to widen the profitability of your own product once you're going to use the right channel. Sometimes people depend on some software applications and they see that my target segment is not really that type of the one that use internet or depend on software application, or think about putting my app on his mobile phone, because sometimes you feel like it's really easy to do software application to get some programmer and do it on iOS or Android, but at the end I found that the megabytes or the space of the mobile is very precious for our customers, and they're not going to download any kind of application unless it's very important to them. And sometimes they don't really deal with software application to get their own product. So it depends how you're going to reach them through the right channel. How I'm going to decide the right channel, it depends on how I do really study my target segment. The next question, how are our channels integrated? Which ones work best? And which ones are most cost efficient? Every time you're going through sectors of the business model, you always have to think about how it's cost efficient, how I'm going to satisfy my customer, but at the same time, I'm going to keep a great profit for me. So, your channel types, it could be Salesforce, web sales, own stores, partner stores, or wholesaler. So how I'm going to decide? It depends on the cost-efficient plan you're doing after studying your customer segments. For the channel phases, you're going at the beginning to purchase, delivery, and think about the after sales. How do we provide post-purchase customer support? So going to the sector of the customer segment that we are keep talking about, that we are keep saying that you have to study it well, because the more you study the target segment, the more you know how to satisfy your customer and strengthen the customer relationship part, and you know how to deliver the value proposition through the right channels. Sometimes people mistake the customer segment. Sometimes they are looking for a specific segment and they found out that no, that shouldn't be the segment that I should be targeting from the first beginning. So customers are really the heart of any business model. The presence of the customers, and the more customers you have, the more successful your project is. So distinct segments with common needs, common behaviors. This is why I'm going to say it's a kind of a segment. And also, it depends on the financial state. We have like customer segment A, B, C, depending on their average yearly salary and all of those stuff. So a business model can be carefully designed around an excellent understanding of specific customer needs. The more you targeting the right segment, the better you have a great business model that could be really profitable and fruitful at the end. Customers groups represent separate segments if you may have targeting like several segments. When? If their needs require and justify a distinct offer, they are reached through different distribution channels. They require different types of relationships. Let me give you an example on this. Like the company I'm working at, we are delivering upper arm prosthesis. So when we work on the upper arm prosthesis, we have like different types. Some are mechanical, some are bionics, and others are myoelectric. So we have a segment that's financially wise cannot go for the bionic one or the myoelectric one, and it has another way of approaching in channels. And the target segment A or B, they are looking for the bionic one, the more advanced one. So we have different channels. With those, we can use software applications. With the others, we depend on one-to-one sessions and having like our own reps, medical representatives in the hospitals and clinics to reach them. Business model. We are going to not to change our value proposition or the key partners or the key activities, but it's mainly about how we are going to reach them, the channels and the customer relationship. Okay, then after we finish the value proposition, what I'm going to deliver and talk about how I'm going to deliver this through my key activities, resources, and partners, and the know-how for the channels and the sustainability of my project through the customer relationship. Then we have to talk about the money stuff. So the first part is the revenue stream. For what value is each customer segment truly willing to pay? Successfully answering that question allows the firm or the project or the idea that you have to generate one or more revenue streams from each customer segment. So you have to think about it. Like when you're going to take this assignment, please look for the questions I'm adding after each slide that have the logo of the sector of the business model. Answer each question, then you're going to find a clear vision of your own business model. Each revenue stream may have different pricing mechanisms, such as fixed list prices, bargaining, or the yield management. So in the revenue streams, you're going to talk about the assets, mainly the assets. Like in my every time I'm going to talk about the sector, I'm going to relate this part to my own company. So we're going to have a kind of an example to understand the things we're talking about. So mainly in the revenue streams, I'm doing prosthesis, so it's mainly going for the assets, the 3D printers, and the material that I'm using to make a feasible and flexible prosthesis. Sometimes it depends on the subscription fees if you're going on software applications and stuff like this. So the revenue streams. Each revenue stream might have different pricing mechanism. Type of pricing mechanism chosen can make a big difference in terms of the revenue generated. So you have two main types of the pricing mechanism: fixed pricing, and dynamic pricing. Before going to the cost structure, is there anyone have a kind of a question? Please type your questions, because we are about to finish the business model, so I can know what stuff you're going around, and you need more clear answers about it, or if you want me to relate it to your own project or idea you're working on. So the last part is the cost structure. What are the most important costs inherent in our business model? Which key resources are most expensive? Cost structure could be because I'm working on in Facebook or in Google, so I need someone who's really good at keeping the security and keeping the info of my clients and my customers safe. So I'm going to do to use great programmers, so they could be paid in a very high pricing. So when we talk about the key resources, you have to know who's the most expensive and why you should use this person. Does it really worth to use him or not? The last question: which key activities are most expensive, and can I have alternative? Like in my company, we're working on 3D printers and 3D scanners. Do we have another alternative, like another company or another device? No, so far that's the best with the best quality. So I can't go for another option. So yeah, I have to manage the financial plan and manage everything regarding this part, because I have to use this expensive thing, and think about if I'm going to use alternatives for other minor stuff. So at the end, I think we have a kind of a clear vision for what are the key partners, key activities, key resources, value propositions, customer relationships, channels, customer segments, cost structure, and revenue stream. What I want you to do is, as you see here, I want everyone to get this software. Like, we are going to send you this template, and I want you to add in the free space the points regarding the key partners. Who are your key partners, your key activities, resources, and so on. And have another model that has an icon, like a picture icon, a picture, GIF, or whatever that can resample the key partner you use, key activities you use, or key resources. And I'm going to send you an example for this one, because sometimes when I make a business model and I'm going to show it to a person, and it's stuffed with too many information, too many sentences, that it makes it feel like I cannot concentrate and focus in each part. But when you have like pictures, like how we use what we call it, yeah, resemblance picture. I'm going to get you some and show you my business model that's in a Pictionary way, not in documentation sentences. So you can make one like so. Okay, so I'm going to give you like 2 minutes until you write your questions and concerns about the business model before we go to the key messages of the delivery and talk about the communication. So the key message is delivery. Now we're going to talk about another part, but again, I want to remind you that you have to deliver the business model, and we're going to send you on the group and your emails the deadline and the template for the business model, and how you can make a Pictionary one and the one with the points in the sentence, that a kind of an answer for the questions we already have in the slides in this presentation. So now, by talking about the key messages delivery, you have to identify your goal and then know who is your audience, like your target segment, and choose the right time and conditions to deliver your own message. Like if I'm doing a kind of a camp and my only way to reach the youth is Facebook or the social media, I'm going to use to post my own message and post my own camp in the right time. And in the like Fridays, Saturdays, in the days that I'm sure people are free and rush hour like at 7 p.m. or till 10 p.m. So I assure that there is great access for the youth in this time. So I can assure that many people can check and see my own post regarding the camp I'm going to deliver. So you have to choose the right time. Sometimes I'm doing survey that I want to improve or do a new thing, like a new capping for a ketchup product. So if you're going to do this survey, you have to choose the right time if you're going to talk with people, so they can really give you fruitful answer that works for your own project. And also choose the right message. Sometimes people think that social media is the best because it's free, but sometimes it's not how it works. It depends on your target segment. And at the end, you have to take care of the feedback. Once I was dealing with a group who's working on prosthesis as well. And it was really funny that when I tell them that you have some problems in the technicalities of your own product, and that's why the patient's coming back and forth in a really short time, complaining from some stuff, they go like, no, it's not our problem. They use it in the wrong way. Okay, you have to teach them how to use it. And even when you teach them, you don't have to say like it's the customer who misused my own product. There must be something I'm doing wrong. So you should not be like 100% assured that everything is going right from your side and there is many other problems and circumstances that has nothing to do with my own progress and my own plan. So you have to listen and carefully listen. So your message characteristics should be clear, concise. Sometimes people are advertising about specific thing or talking about a specific camp, and the more they talk and blah blah blah, I feel like okay, I lose the interest because I don't feel it like concise. Sometimes I don't have time to read too much or listen a lot. So you have to make it a kind of I don't know if people know the pitch-a-coach presentation or the elevator pitch, but try to do your so Elevator pitch is a kind of, you're going to do a pitching like from 2 to 3 minutes, and it has to be very clear and concise, so you can persuade someone who can give you the fund to work on your own project or incubator or whatever. So you always should have a kind of a clear and concise way to deliver your own message. Maybe next time we can talk about the bridge culture presentation and see how you can deliver your project in 400 seconds only. Okay. So to communicate with my target segment, I have to understand his culture, language, physiology, personal differences and skills, assumptions, relationships, fear, worry, choosing the wrong method or timing for delivery. So the more you understand the target segment, the more you understand how you can communicate with them. So our communication methods, it could be face-to-face communication in meetings or interview, could be phone calls, emails, application forms, business proposals and reports. Sometimes it could be delivered through workshops, conferences, and lectures. Others through web pages and portals. It could be personal or pitching. So now we get to the end of our own presentation. I will wait for 2 more minutes to check if someone needs any kind of advice or you need to answer some questions. So I will be waiting for 2 minutes more and then sum up everything we say and what kind of stuff you have to deliver in the upcoming part, and it will be in Arabic to make it clear. Okay, now we have a comment. It's about sending the template for the business plan and the business model as well, and how to use it in figures. Okay, that will be sent for you through emails and your Facebook group as well. Don't worry about it. So as sum up, you have to know that you are going to deliver an assignment for the business model, and I'm going to send you this template as I said. And regarding the main tasks for the Zero Agrowaste competition, you're going to deliver business plan by November 7th. And marketing outreach. I would like to remind you with our next webinar that will be on 27th this month. Okay, I think now we get to the end of our own webinar, and I may do a kind of a sum up in Arabic, so it would be more efficient for you. طيب احنا كده اتكلمنا عن البيزنس موديل، قلنا ان احنا ازاي هنعرف نعملها على شكل كلام، وازاي ان احنا نحط زي فيجرز او صور كده بحيث انها تبقى باكشنري اكتر. فهمنا ان من خلال البيزنس موديل انا ازاي بعرف اني فهمنا ان ازاي انه من خلال البيزنس موديل بعرف ان انا احط كل الانفو اللي انا محتاجها علشان اشوف الدنيا ماشيه معايا ازاي، صح ولا غلط، انا ماشي في الطريق الصح، او انا فعلا كده الموضوع بالنسبه لي هيبقى فعلا مربح ولا لا. عرفت ازاي ان انا احدد انا عايزه اقدم ايه للناس في الفاليو بروبوزيشن. طب اللي انا عايزه اقدمه ده هقدمه من خلال ان انا هعمل حاجات معينه اللي هي الكي اكتيفيتيز بمساعده ناس معينه او فلوس او اجهزه، فدي الكي ريسورسز، و companies او partners هتعامل معاهم، فده الكي بارتنرز بتوعي. طيب خلاص انا عرفت انا عايزه اقدم ايه، عرفت مين اللي هيساعدني في الحاجه دي وهعملها ازاي. ببدا ان انا طيب انا هقدمها لمين، الكاستمر سيجمنت بتاعي ازاي، من خلال الشانلز، وهسستين بقى علاقتي بالكاستمر دوت من خلال الكاستمر ريليشن شيب. في الاخر بعرف ان انا احط الكوست ستراكشر بتاعي، ايه الاجهزه استخدمتها، الحاجات اللي هي المين دايما بتبقى اسيتس، يعني المين هتلاقي الكوست ستراكشر بتاعك رايح معظمه في الاسيتس. اند ذن الريفينيو ستريم، انا بعرف بقى ان انا اجيب ربح من خلال البرودكت او السيرفيس اللي انا قدمتها دي ازاي. طيب بعد كده احنا اتكلمنا عن التايمنج الصح اللي اقدر ان انا او ازاي ان انا اقدر اديليفر الكي مسجز اللي ليها علاقه بالبرودكت او السيرفيس بتاعي. ودي هنتكلم عنها اكتر لما نيجي ناخد الماركتنج بقى، زي ان انا هديليفر اصلا الشغل بتاعي كله، سواء في لايف سيشنز، في ورك شوبس، كونفرنسز، بوثز او كده، او من خلال السوشيال ميديا او الويب سايتس. طيب شكرا جدا ليكم، وان شاء الله تبقى السيشن اللي جايه بتاعتنا يوم 27. Thank you so much.